I love Justin Fields, and like I said, he's had a great year, and I wouldn't be against playing with him, for the rest of my career, honestly.
Good blocking on the perimeter, and that opens it up for Tyler Scott.
And so I don't know if you caught me on the NFL Network talking about people who I love from the greater Chicagoland area. I forgot to mention the star of the show, Tyler Scott. So without further ado, let's bring on the man of the hour. And Tyler, I'm sorry. I was sitting there making fun of Cleveland and saying that I was very happy for the Miz, Drew Carey, our friend Smiling Demi, who's a fan of the show. I forgot to mention you, and for that, I feel like Akron's different, so I apologize if I didn't include you on that. Are we still good?
No, we're good. We're good.
How was it though? How was this weekend? Now, obviously, a very disappointing loss. Once again, I love the progress. I love that. We go into these situations where Cleveland's one of the best teams in the league, one of the top defenses in the league. And it's good that it's like competitive. I don't think it was competitive over the last couple of years. It's going to be competitive, but what was that like for you going back home, playing in front of your hometown fans, but ultimately coming up short in that game?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely a bittersweet moment for me. Day, I was, pregame, I had, a million people, yelling my name, signed some autographs, seen some old friends, teachers. I mean, it was great, pregame going out, just, I've seen, a couple games in that stadium, from the stands, and then to finally be there and to be on the other side now, being the one looking up into the stands and, just being able to experience that. That was just, I mean, it was such a cool moment for me, growing up, like I said, in a household full of, Cleveland Browns fans, listen to them, day or every Sunday, after church. It was such a cool moment to be there and to be able to face them, and then have so many people that I grew up with on the field for, but pregame, was able to watch up close and personal, got some pictures with them. They got to watch us warm up and things of that nature, and then was able to play in front of so many different people that some haven't even got to see me play live. So, I mean, it was such a cool moment. But also, like I said, it was, like I said, bittersweet with the L at the end of the day. But it was great being back.
It is one of those things. I'm very familiar. I'm familiar with it from the other side, not from your perspective, but from your friend's perspective. One of my good friends growing up, Dave Janowski, played at the University of Washington. We would go see him play USC, UCLA. We went on the road to Tempe to go see him play ASU. They were playing Jake Plummer at the time. It was an epic game, which Washington ultimately lost. So it's that I know what it's like when it's like you're watching your friend and you're like, yeah, and Dave even had a return in the game, and you're excited. But I gotta tell you, like everybody who was there representing you from growing up and everything. I know that everybody just knowing, going through this experience myself, they're super proud of you. Proud of what you've been able to do. Ultimately, we want to get the win. I know selfishly we want to go out there and win, but just seeing you out there, just because like growing up with somebody and being able to know somebody, you're like, God, that's a player who's out there on the field. And then of course you made a couple of big plays in this game. And I wanted to ask you, because to set up the final, the desperation heave, the Hail Mary, if you will, you had a nice little catch and run there. How close were you to break? Because I was like, oh, because you were like you were towing that line. How close were you to being able to break that?
Yeah, I mean, so I ended up catching it, turned around. Okay, we got a lot of open grass. Seeing Newsome and Ward looked like Denzel Ward was just trying to kind of, I don't know. I thought I was just going to kind of walk out of bounds.
Yeah.
And it kind of looked like too, he was trying to basically push me back inbounds, but he didn't kind of make an effort. And so, we have a rule kind of C2 split 2. And so kind of where they were, kind of angle I was coming at, the momentum I'm had, I'm like, well, I feel like I could split these two guys. In worst case scenario, I'll get a few extra yards and my momentum will just carry me out of bounds. But looking at just kind of, and even looking at the scouting report, we knew their DBs didn't like to tackle. And so that really showed itself in that phase there. And so seeing the two guys split the two, I'm like, okay, so there's more open field. I was still in bounds. On the film, I see Mooney. I was on the field. He's like pointing at me. He's like, get out of bounds. Get out of bounds. And so I'm like, no, I'm like, turn around. I'm like, score.
Go.
And so he turns around. He makes a really nice block. I get around his, but I'm kind of, like I said, right on that edge. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I have a really good shot at possibly taking it here. I think it was like one guy maybe left, but at that point, I was just kind of too close to the sideline to really just keep my footing. So at that point, I'm like, all right, well, let me get as much as I can, do the clock situation. I was like, if I can get as much as I can, possibly get in field goal range, but at least give us a shot to at the end of the game. And so like I said, I was going for the dagger there to kind of end it, but I got what I could and then got out.
No, I thought it was the right play. Watching it in real time. Again, you're trying to preserve time. You want to give yourself another chance. It's funny because in that instance, it's like, would you trust the guy who's super fast with the ball in his hands, possibly getting to the end zone, or do you want to go out of bounds and possibly take a desperation heave? I'll always take, like, you got the play going. Like, let's see what happens, because there's so many variables that go into a last second desperation toss.
Yeah.
But the Bears, we had one. What is going, like, what was it like being on the field? Because I know, like, watching it, a lot of times you're like, there's no way this is going to happen, but we've seen it, happen like time and time again to come so close. What was it like on the field to be that close and be like, I mean, like, this is, you haven't lived this life. Oh, listen, you grew up a Browns fan, so you know as well as anybody. Like, there's a lot of, and I know that I know that I've been having fun with Browns fans on Twitter, on NFL Network. I like the Cleveland fans. I like the city of, it's a beautiful place. So we're having a little bit of fun. I'm leaning into the heel roll right now, but there's a shared experience. The Browns fans and the Bears fans, very similar DNA. Like, you got to be Jane Goodall in a way, the kind of being able to distinguish between the two. So you know exactly what it's like the level of pessimism that you have of, like, this isn't going to work. And then for it to be so close on the field, what was that like? What was your initial reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this multiple weeks, man. At the end of the day, all you want is a chance. Got us a chance to, get down there, and we got a chance. I knew with Justin's arm, I'm like, he could easily make a 50-yard throw. Yeah. So, call the play in, and I knew it was going to be a Hail Mary situation. Had a chance. Everybody got in their positions. And at that point, you're just hoping that, you get a tip ball. We have a jumper. To hopefully get there in the middle, kind of tip the ball. The ball goes somewhere. Have a guy in the back where I was, a guy on the sides, to kind of just be, in the vicinity of, like, all right, if there's a tip ball, you could possibly catch it. And, it just seemed to work out exactly how we had it kind of mapped out, as far as, hopefully getting a tip ball and maybe it falling into someone's hands, on the way down. But, it didn't work out in the end, but at the end of the day, you just want a chance there. So can't give up on a play. But yeah, I mean, those are tough. They're not high percentage plays necessarily in the NFL, but like I said, at the end of the day, crazy things happen in the NFL. That's what makes the game so great. But someone's got to win and someone's got to lose.
Yeah, I would love to pull anybody out of the stands and have them try to catch that football, because I know that every expert and every, flag football wide receiver is like, oh, I would have made that catch. No, you wouldn't have.
Oh my gosh. That's a tough catch, man. It's a tough catch to be, you may not even know where the ball actually is until, until it's maybe halfway to the ground. And then on top of that, Mooney's on his way falling down. Yeah. So he's kind of got to, you have you have maybe 0.5 seconds there to kind of react, gather yourself, see where the ball is at, react, gather it, and then get to the ground or what have you. But that's a tough catch to make. But that's the name of the game.
Yeah, we there was a Super Bowl a number of years ago, the one in Indianapolis, where Tom Brady threw a desperation heave like that, and Gronk almost made a play.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Gronk couldn't make that play. I think the only time that I've seen somebody really make a play like that, might have been Julian Edelman, another Patriots player, in the Super Bowl and the comeback win over the Falcons. As a matter of fact, I was in the tunnel. Oh, yeah. I was in the tunnel there in Houston with the Falcons families, because they were getting ready to go on the field to go celebrate when that play happened. And I was like, oh gosh. And I remember, because Arthur Blank's grandchildren were there with me. Like, there's no way that was a catch. And you're like, oh dude, that was a catch. Yeah. So it's a very difficult thing like that. I'm almost I was bummed for Darnell because I'm like, you made it too close because now people are going to talk.
Yeah, and then they make it worse when they played in slow motion. That just amplifies it all, and everyone's like, "Well, see, look, he should have caught it."
Show it in real time.
Oh my
Although,
god!
yeah, like I think anything that if you slow down long enough, like
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a crazy because listen, I don't want to bring you in on this, so I won't because I know there's probably just to let everybody know we record the show. So if you're a Browns fan coming in here trying to run your mouth about the David Njoku play, I can't see it, and I'm not going to go back and look. So you're out of luck. But like when you slow it down, they're like, well, his toes hit before his heels. I'm like, but his heel comes down. Like anytime you slow things up too much as opposed to watching it in real time. Because when you watched it in real time, it was one of those things you're like, but that's like anything. Unless it's like, like every once in a while, like anytime like this happens in the real world where just things fall off the table, you try to catch something or whatever it is. Like it's a very difficult thing, even if you're one of the best athletes in the world. How was our friend Darnell? What was it like in the locker room? Like, do you not make eye contact with Darnell Mooney? Do you have to like you don't, because obviously you guys dress together.
Yeah. Of course.
You're like, hey, Darnell, like good to see you. Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta go see Matt over here. What is that like in the locker room afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, as a team, we're frustrated, not really just for that play, but just, kind of the whole game as far as, we're up 17-7, going to the fourth, and you let a lead get away like we have, multiple times this year. And I think that's the main frustration. It's not really frustration like, oh, he didn't catch it,
Yeah.
I don't even think that's not what's on our mind necessarily. It's really just we're looking at the body of work at the game and just trying to figure out like, man, where do we go wrong? And the fact that we just let, this game slip out of our hands. That's the true frustration there. And I remember getting onto the bus and, Darnell was just like, man, they're killing me on social media, man.
Oh no.
I was like, because I didn't, so from where I was at, kind of from the back, because I was supposed to be the back guy to kind of see like if the ball tips in the back, I would be there to, try to be in the situation that Darnell was in. And so I didn't actually really see the play as far as how close it was.
Right.
Like I said, from where I was behind. I just kind of heard a ruckus. I seen the guy with the ball in his hands running. I didn't see where I was at, like I said, where I was at, kind of what happened with the Darnell situation. And he ended up showing me the film and seeing, how close it was. Like, oh, wow. I didn't know it was that close, until you just now showed me. And so, like I said, it's tough. That's the name of the game. Of course, people are going to, bash you and, feel like, from their couches and like, man, he should have caught that. And, you have, passionate fans, that's the game, man. And, sometimes those plays are made and sometimes they're not, but his spirits were obviously, not good, for someone that was put in that, position. But at the end of the day, you just continue to encourage somebody, there's no reason to down him or, any of those things, I look at me and say, man, I should have caught the first pass and maybe we have more time to, do more instead of catching the second one. And, now we have less time, you're looking at yourself in the mirror. At least that's where I, in my perspective, when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and saying, all right, what can I have done in this game, to put us in position to win it? And so we didn't have to be in position to throw our Hail Mary, So I don't think it's necessarily looking to point fingers and, blame people. It's more so just looking at yourself in the mirror and, just looking at what could, I have done as a team, what could we have done to not have ourselves in that position.
Yeah, that was one of the most impressive things, and I wanted to get to that. You did have a drop in that final drive, but you made up for it on the second play where you were very close. Does that play into your mind? Is that like in the back of your mind, like I got to make up for it here and see how much I can get out of this play?
Yeah, I think it's not all. You're going to have things that happen during the game and even in the course of just life in general. But I think the big part, something that they teach in this building, of being, a Chicago Bear, and something I've heard, growing up and something I've experienced growing up is how are you going to react? Once, something bad happens, how are you going to react? Are you going to put your head down? Or, well, the ball's not coming my way again. He's not, just not going to throw me the ball. I had a pass where, like I said, I dropped it and he came right back to me the next play and put ourselves in a position to a chance to have a shot, So at the end of the day, things are going to happen in the game, but I think the number one thing is how do you respond to those things, because you're going to hopefully have another opportunity And when you get another opportunity, how are you going to take that opportunity? And for me, the game's not over. Yeah, I dropped a pass or whatever, but the game's not over. We have to still keep playing, and so there's still time on the clock. And we had time on the clock. I was able to get the ball in my hands again and make something happen. And so, like I said, we had a shot at the end there, and that's the biggest thing. Just how are you going to respond?
Yeah, I think it kind of exemplifies the leadership skills of Justin Fields because, not going to put you in the doghouse or anything like that. Going to go right back to you, show that trust once again. And I bring up Justin Fields because obviously, I feel bad thinking about Darnell Mooney going and looking at social media after a game, which if I could give Darnell another message through you this week, don't do that. Don't stop looking at social media because it's the blessing and the curse of playing for the Chicago Bears. Like, I don't know if you saw this, but Carolina, they were selling tickets for 45 cents on the secondary market. That stadium was empty. You don't get that in Chicago. Like we've not had a lot of great years since 2018. That stadium's always full. The fans are engaged. The fans are locked in. And again, it's a blessing and a curse because you're not going to be able to escape it, good or bad. But obviously with the Bears, because of Carolina, because of potentially having the number 1 overall pick, there's speculation that you could take a quarterback. DJ Moore has spoken about this publicly where he said, I don't think that the two guys presumed to be the top 2 picks in the draft are better than Justin Fields. Jalen Johnson on 670 The Score even said the same thing himself. Like, listen, this guy's our leader. What do you think about Justin Fields? Like, is that something that comes up a lot in the building, but how do you feel about Justin Fields overall?
No, I mean, honestly, that's a lot of outside talk that you hear, social media, other analysts, things of that nature. I mean, I think everyone in the locker room loves Justin Fields, man. It's been my first year with Justin, and I love the guy. Ever since I first stepped in the building, he was the first one to greet me. He was the first one to contact me, after I got drafted. And, I loved him ever since I've stepped in the building, just how, like I said, how he's carried himself, just how he's been in the position that he's been in, with really not, so much of a stable environment, since he's been here, but continue to work hard, continue to have a great attitude, continue to lead a group of guys. And, I think he's, from what I've seen, improved, each year, as he's been in the league and, now being my first year, being around him, seeing his game, just seeing the way he plays. I thought he's, like I said, this year being with him, I think he's had a great year statistically. And not only statistically, I think he's just done a great job of taking control of just the offense as far as, his command that he has in the huddle, being able to trust them. I mean, like I said, you hear all those different things about different quarterbacks and, things of that nature. But like I said, I love Justin Fields. And like I said, he's had a great year and, I wouldn't be against playing with him, for the rest of my career, honestly. And so, he actually hit me up after the game, this past game, and just gave me some words of encouragement. Just said, way to, basically step up, there at the end. Just keep working, man. And, for me, that's huge, to have him reach out to me and just give me those words of encouragement, being a young guy. That does a lot for a player. And so, like I said, I love the dude. So, we'll see what happens, going forward. Obviously not my decision, but, so far and as of right now and hopefully moving forward, Justin's the quarterback of the Chicago Bears.
The unquestioned leader of the Chicago Bears. And of course, I'll be back on Wednesday night for Take It to the Rank, where I will be battling.
AF1.
Well, I will be battling half of Bears Twitter. I will be going against Carmen. I'm with you. I said last week, and I've said this plenty of times, like I've seen enough. We're on to the next round. We're on to the next level. Let's go and let's just continue to build this team and continue to build this roster and see what happens. I'm curious though, because now, we had a pathway to 9 wins, which would have put us right in the middle of the playoff conversation. I don't know if we've been outright eliminated yet. Forgive me for not knowing that offhand. It was a long shot last week. I feel like it's got to be a longer shot right now, but has there been any talk moving forward where, okay, well, now we're going to go into more of an evaluation process, which could mean more targets for somebody like yourself. And I'm curious, like, I know we're still early in the week, but have you gotten a sense like, okay, we're really going to start peppering you with targets or anything like that?
No, I don't think so, because I think mathematically we're still not eliminated.
Not eliminated. Not mathematically.
Yeah, that was an AFC opponent that we ended up facing, and the next three we have are all, I want to say, NFC.
Yeah.
Um,
Arizona, Atlanta, and Green Bay.
right, they're all NFC, opponents. So we still have a chance. Depending on what happens, how things shake out, we still have a chance. Now, as far as evaluation wise, I think you're getting evaluated every single day. Every single day you walk into the building, you're always being evaluated. There's not a time that you're not being evaluated. It's not a practice. You're not being evaluated. Not a day that you walk through any building, at least that I've been a part of, where you're not being evaluated. So that's kind of the scope and lens that I see it from, is you're always being evaluated. Like I said, this is year one for me. I don't know exactly how things kind of shake out towards the end of the season, and things of that nature. So I'm not kind of sure about how those things go kind of up
Yeah.
in the front office. But, for me, like I said, I've always had the lens of I'm always being evaluated. So I'm always putting my best foot forward, always trying to do the things that I can do to remain a Chicago Bear and to put my best foot forward on Sundays.
Yeah. And selfishly, there's nobody rooting for you more than me. But at the same time, because, I'm also a fantasy enthusiast, I got to have that in mind as well. So I'm like, I don't want you to do too well these last three games. So you get into these, so
Yeah.
people start drafting you next year a little bit too early. So then I got to fight for it. But actually, I'm in a lot of leagues with Chicago people. So the secret's already out. So we're already looking forward to that next year. By the way, before you were talking about our opponents in the upcoming week. Obviously, this weekend, we're going to be playing host to the Arizona. I almost said Chicago Cardinals. Nobody says Chicago Cardinals. Nobody knows that the Cardinals started in Chicago, but playing host to the Arizona Cardinals. I want to let everybody know that if you're not going to the game, because this isn't Carolina, we have good fans and everybody shows up to games. But a great place to watch the game is Game Room Chicago, located inside the historic Chicago Athletic Association Hotel. It is awesome. It features billiards, shuffleboard, skee ball, pop-a-shot, and so much more. And with a menu featuring Michelin-starred chef Mari Katsumura's snack foods, there are also beer towers, shareable signature cocktails, a weekend Bloody Mary bar, and so much space to watch your favorite games, including the Bears and Chicago. This used to be a rivalry. My dad used to go to Comiskey Park back in the day, before the old Comiskey Park. He's like, it was easier to get tickets to the Cardinals Bears games in Comiskey than in Wrigley. So he would go, and then he would purposely buy tickets in the Cardinals section just to go there and just cause a ruckus. And he was a Navy guy. He wasn't afraid of anything.
No,
So would go there on the South Side and cause a stir. So it'll be a lot of fun. Are you looking forward to playing the Cardinals? Like, I know that they have their own thing with Kyler Murray and a lot of people questioning them. They're also potentially in the top three. As somebody who likes the sport, what do you think of Kyler Murray? Like, I've always been a fan of his ever since his days at Oklahoma. I even watched him play baseball. He was drafted by the Oakland A's, and I was like, God, I'm like, this guy's going to end up tormenting me one way or the other. So what do you think about him as a player and as an athlete? Because I'm a huge fan.
Yeah. So I watched him when he was at Oklahoma. Always kind of the little guy running around. And so sometimes, when I'm talking to people about like different quarterbacks and just different players in the league, right? For people that may know, I'm a huge sports car collector.
Yeah.
And so when I talk about different people and we're talking about different guys, I always say, like, would I invest in this guy or would I not invest in this guy? You know what I'm saying? As far as sports cars wise, like, would I go and search out for his card and invest in him or would I not? And so when I put that, spectacle up with like Kyler Murray, I feel like that's a guy that I would probably invest in long term. He ended up getting paid, so I feel like he has more of a leash with the organization. But I think too, just when I watched him at Oklahoma, just how explosive he was. Once he gets the right pieces around him, I think he can be pretty good. I think he has a great knack for, I think, what Lamar Jackson has now. That he didn't have earlier, which is kind of being able to run kind of with a cautiousness, but like he's not necessarily taking huge hits. Like he has like the ability and the threat of like, all right, he's not necessarily always running full speed, which it kind of almost looks like Kyler is though, but he just knows when to get down, when to elude, when to get out of bounds. And I think he just has even just the way he throws the ball, you can tell he's played baseball. Like he has just the way he throws, he has that type of release. But I think he's just an exciting player. And like I said, since he's been in Oklahoma, I think he's just been an electrifying player to watch.
I love the idea of you putting it in the card sense. Would I invest in this player? I'm with you. I would invest in him as well. And I think if Arizona moves on from him, they could be making a mistake. You know, it's funny because as much as they talk about like Justin moving on, like, he could go here or he could go there. I'm like, well, why isn't Kyler Murray like in that conversation? That I'm glad he's not, because I don't think anybody should have to live through that, especially young quarterbacks who are developing. I don't like it. You know what's funny though? I'll leave you. I know that I've kept you on too long, but I'm gonna leave you with this because at the beginning of the 2022 football season, I was at the National Card Show in Burbank, California, going around, and I took my daughter, and we were going out and buying cards and all this stuff, and we were both wearing she was wearing her Cutler jersey, so this was awesome. But I remember when you talk about people investing in cards, and this is why sometimes you shouldn't always trust the public. You could not buy a Trey Lance card because they were so expensive. And nobody wanted to give them up. And then people would just guys were handing my daughter Justin Fields cards. Like, oh yeah, just take them. Like this guy's. And I'm like, this is why you can't always trust the public. Like this is a thing too. And if
that's crazy how it goes. Like in the card game, like a guy that's like that I've seen, like especially over the past year, who's been like, all right, his prices are always up. Is Justin Herbert. Like. Yeah. He's a guy that people love in the card game, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, man, Justin. I'm like, he hasn't at the time he hasn't won a playoff game yet. And it's like everybody just anointed this dude on the market where it's like, man, Justin Herbert was a guy where it's like everybody wanted. Josh Allen was another guy after the Kansas City game, like everybody wanted, and things of that nature. And then you have those guys where it's like, here you go, and then you got Brock Purdy who's now come on pretty strong, but. Yeah, no, Trey Lance, you're right, is a person that's like everyone was like, all right, yeah. I mean,
everybody was so convinced that he was better than Justin Fields, and they're like, just like you couldn't. I swear to you, like, well, I don't have to tell you this. Like, the cards are like $50, or you'd get the Chrome cards or like the super rares or anything, and you're like, oh my god. And I'm like, nobody wants these, and people are like, yeah, just walk off of these Justin Fields. I'm like, I'll take all. If you want to give my cute daughter all these Justin Fields, I'll take them. And I'll take it all day long, and I will continue to back Justin Fields. And so it's fine. I want to, we should talk cards sometimes because I got to.
No, we do.
You know what? Okay, I'm sorry. I know them. I know.
You're good.
We're going to get in trouble, and I know. I'm sorry. One player that it's an Ohio State guy, so I wanted to bring him up because one player that I loved coming into the draft was Jackson Smith-Njigba. Mm-hmm. And so on Monday night, so this was last night from when we're recording this, I mean, he had the winning catch, of course. It was an amazing grab. Is that somebody that we're buying in on? Because I've been buying Jackson Smith-Njigba cards, and I feel like after last night, that price is going to spike.
Yeah, no, I think he's definitely a guy you invest in for sure. I think this wide receiver class this year in general, I think if you're a sports card collector, is a class that you should invest in because I feel like this is a very deep wide receiver class from top to bottom. So I think moving forward, like this is a great class wide receiver wise. I think, you should definitely invest in for sure. Quarterbacks, we'll see. I think obviously CJ Stroud.
Well, CJ's good. Yeah. CJ's playing really well.
He's definitely someone that everyone's going to be hot on for sure. I think honestly, if I'm being honest, and I'm still high on Anthony Richardson.
Oh yeah.
I think he's going to end up being, people might have forgot, but I think he's going to end up being really good if you can stay healthy. But I think we'll see how, things, with Bryce Young, he's in a tough situation. But I think CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson are probably kind of my two that, in this class where I'm like, all right, and of course, forgive me, Tyson Bagent. You have to invest in Tyson Bagent long-term because he's going to get an opportunity somewhere. It may not be Chicago, but he's going to get an opportunity somewhere. And you might want to hop on him early.
Yes, we're definitely going to be investing in Tyson. Great person, great player. And I loved the previous week after the win, and we saw Tyson in the locker room celebrating. I'm like, he's just got the vibe. Like he's just the vibe guy. If nothing else, he's a great vibe guy. So we do love that. And of course, a lot of the wide receivers from this class, Jackson Smith-Njigba, obviously Tyler Scott goes without saying. Rashee Rice is another good one. Tank Dell's done pretty well.
Yeah, he's done pretty well. Jordan Axwell, he's in the other. With Jordan
No,
Addison, I think
we don't want Jordan. No, forget him.
He's had a solid year. Just
He's good.
Speaking cards, he's had a solid year.
He's been good.
So, yeah.
It's one of those things too, where it's like, hey, everybody. It's like I know, like comedians are always like super competitive. You're like, everybody can be funny. Like people enjoy shows when all the comedians are funny.
Yeah.
They don't want everybody to bomb and then one guy to kill. Like that's not a great show. Similarly, we want all these guys to play well, even Quentin Johnston. Like we want all these guys, and I wasn't taking a shot at him, but I'm like, everybody can be good and it's going to be fine. We want everybody to go out there and have a good time and contribute and have great careers. Unless you play for the Titans, because we don't care for you because you passed over on our guy. Listen, I'm happy. I don't know why I'm upset with you. Can be upset with Tennessee. I shouldn't be because you're here right now because of that. But listen, thanks again for coming on. And again, I know I say it time and time again. This was a tough one. I know it was a homecoming and it's a tough loss. And I think again, it's a testament to your character that you go out there and you face the media and you face the critics in a tough market like Chicago. So we commend you for that. We're going to put that one behind us. We can't run around the world and spin it backwards. So let's look forward. Let's finish off strong against our former Chicago rivals, the Cardinals. Then we need to beat Arthur Smith because of the way he's using Bijan Robinson. I know Roshan's probably upset with him. So, oh my God. I don't know if you can. You know what I loved about Roshan Johnson? I'm sorry. I'm rambling now. When Justin Fields got lit up at the end of the first half, the guy who got into the referee's face was Roshan Johnson, like the immediate first guy. I love that about him. I'm like, dude, get him. I don't want to get you into trouble, so don't talk. We're not going to talk about that. But anyways, and then we got the Packers in Week 18. Let's finish off strong. 3 consecutive victories. We'll go into the offseason with a lot of hope and a lot of optimism, as we should, and hopefully a lot of targets. That first touchdown's coming, but I want to thank you for being here. And that's all I got for you. Thank you so much, Tyler.
Yeah, no problem. I love coming on each week.
All right. Well, we'll tell Jeff. I know Jeff always puts a time limit. Sorry, Jeff. We're having a good time. We started talking about cards. We're having a delightful conversation. You can't stop that. But I want to thank everybody for being here. Like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. Do all that stuff. So for Tyler, I'm Adam. And Bear Down and Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.